Hello, everyone. Welcome to podcast 214. This might be the first podcast where we've had two hosts. And you got the two worst ones, so lucky everybody out there.
No, I think we stepped it up. Obviously, I know Kerry does a great job, but
the intro was flawless, right? So,
yeah, I mean, I think he messes around on purpose. Like I think at some point it's your shtick now, and I think honestly that's Kerry. He will never say otherwise, but I think that's him.
Yeah, no, that's totally fair. That checks out. Yeah. Got a great show for us today. We got a couple of great guests, a couple of champions. It's been an absolute whirlwind of a month for bowling, between Hopedale and then the open qualifyings for a lot of places, and then Timmins, and then Regina, and holy cow, January, February, March is just insane.
Yeah. It won't finish until there's no time actually finishes nowadays. There's always something going on. So,
but here we are. We're hitting March right away, and we're starting to get through the end of the bowling season. WCBT is wrapping up here with one last event, so we're starting to see all the points. Club Tour, we're starting to see all the points, but this time of the year also means that we're working into spring training. It's nice to see some spring training games up on there.
I haven't watched any.
Life feels so much better,
Baseball, yeah. No one cares about basketball. No one cares about basketball. I can tell you that. Or CFL football. Only Winnipeg and Saskatchewan people like that. It's nice to have baseball back, even though the Blue Jays might not be that great this year or last year with Vladdy. You know what? At least we can enjoy ourselves over the summer. I mean, summertime, right?
Yeah.
So warmer weather. So
Scherzer looked good the other day, so that was all right.
Yeah,
it's weird to see Scherzer in a Jays uniform.
Blue Jay, yeah, he's just grasping on straws now for the rest of his career. So he's a good locker room guy. Do you know what today is? I know you did your homework of this. I know.
Today is Anti-Bullying Day.
No.
It is though. It is. Did you know that?
Yeah, I did. That's very ironic.
You're about to bully somebody, aren't you?
No, this person was a bully on the lanes, but it's Pete Weber's "Who do you think I am?" moment was 13 years ago today.
Huh.
It is the anniversary of that.
Interesting.
I know. Yeah, I know. You're a big Pete Weber fan. I know that, but I just want to let you know that it was today.
That's awesome. Yeah. Congratulations to Pete Weber 13 years ago.
He did go out. If you watched the U.S. Open this year, or Udo hit the Pete Weber tournament, he went out and threw the first ball. He's just only does the senior tour now. It doesn't do anything big, but he was quite the character. I know he was into the drugs and he was into some other stuff, but I really think he created that character for TV too, right? Because
he was asked to. He was asked to be a heel. He was he was the good guy. He was the best player, right? So they asked him to be a heel, and he did, and he definitely rejuvenated the game. But now you got other people, right? I mean, you've got Belmonte, who's everyone loves Belmonte for the most part, unless he's Sean Rash, and then everybody hates Sean Rash. So you have
Sean Rash is okay now. He got inducted into the fame, right? I didn't realize he was from Alaska, but
that's actually crazy.
Yeah, I think there's always that. Do we have those people in 5-pin bowling? Do we have those kind of people?
Yeah, but probably more realistic. It's not a shtick. It's just people that are you're looking to try to go beat every time. Yeah, I would say you probably have some.
Okay. Well, who would be?
Oh, we are calling people out.
No, I think it's a perfect time.
Not today, but we should have a podcast where we just start our last podcast ever. We just start ripping. It'd be the most viewed one ever, but it's just us being very honest. No, we're there's going to be no name dropping. No.
I can tell you right now, Mark Johnstone. Guys have washed that bag of shit, I tell you. No,
Yeah, big time. Big time.
no. Yeah, Mike, you have to be good, and I don't know if you're there yet, but you're our number one fan,
and he's getting better. He is. He's our unofficial, official Dream Crusher or Crusher emergency sub.
Yeah,
he declared himself that, but
I love Mikey.
That's fine.
You know what? He spared on your team on Sunday.
Yeah.
Awesome. He was there, so I like Mikey. I have to get him back at some point for the cake, but
wow, he got you a cake. That was glorious. And then
it was good. It was good. It was a good chocolate cake. So.
It was, and if anybody is wondering why he got him a cake, it was because of this. It was the 3-year anniversary of this. That was the still frame right there. It's glorious.
I didn't share. No,
you're right. You're right. You did. He didn't share at all. He was like, "Yeah, I'm going to bring it on Thursday, and everyone can have a piece." And then Thursday rolled around. I was like, "No, I'm going to take it home."
I can tell you what happened. I didn't make the open team, and I ate it.
You ate your whole thing?
Well, no, not that big, but in majority of it, yeah. I just
did you strategically cut around pieces of like you bent over holding your face?
No. I did just straight cut right through. It was just me. I should have ate it with a fork and just packaged it up every time.
Absolutely, that's what I would have done.
No, I'm not like that. I'm just.
Oh yeah, you're a classy guy. Yeah, you're a big classy guy. Yeah. All right, shall we bring in our first guest?
Sure, let's bring him in.
All right, our first guest. We'll bring him in right away. Timmins Invitational Champion, Mr. Nathan Cooper. Welcome aboard, buddy.
Hey guys, how are you?
Good. How are you?
I'm doing all right.
Good. Thanks for joining us.
Thanks for having me.
Congratulations. Awesome. It looks like you played really, really well the entire weekend. And like, what is that the biggest Timmins ever?
I think it was, yeah.
Biggest Timmins ever, biggest cut ever for Timmins. Incredible weekend. Congratulations.
Thanks.
Have you come down from that yet?
Well, I spent about a week kind of mentally recovering from how much it took for me to get to that point through that tournament. Like I had to dig pretty deep to get through some of it. So literally was mentally exhausted for about a week.
yeah. I don't think people understand just how much it takes it out of you. You want to elaborate on that a little bit?
So like kind of the last year and a half, 2 years, I've had a lot of life kind of happen. So just been trying to get everything figured out, get my mood stabilized, get my concentration stabilized and helped and fixed and stuff like that. And that day, one of the medications that I had to take dries my mouth out. Well, it decided to go on overdrive. And so I literally could not eat. I could not eat. I tried eating French fries and they turned into like paste in my mouth. And I had to swallow it with a drink of whatever I was drinking, Diet Pepsi or Gatorade. And that was the only way. Like, so I pretty much couldn't eat for the majority of the day.
You're talking about Sunday?
Yeah, that was the Sunday. And that might have also been because just a little bit of dehydration playing 2 shifts, just hadn't replenished enough of like water and everything from all of that exercise. Yeah. And yeah, like I managed to choke down a chocolate bar. I think just before I played Mitch, I was working on one there, and it was like, thank God, because that was the only thing that gave me like I think enough energy and pepped me back up because I was running on fumes pretty much at that point.
Yeah, I mean, I hope people understand how important nutrition is. So to not be able to like eat is really tough. We've had experiences ourselves where like, yeah, you don't eat or you fail to eat, and like all of a sudden you're hungry, and when you're hungry, it's too late. And then all of a sudden you have to get something in you quick, otherwise you're in real trouble for your bowling for sure. So at least
and that's the thing. I'm like, I know I need to eat, so I got something because I figured, okay, like I know I'm drinking a lot of fluids because my mouth is dry. So I'm like, whatever, I'll get something that's not going to cause me to choke, and then I almost choke, and yeah. So it's just like nibble on what I could, and just keep on going and keep on going and keep on going.
Crazy.
So-
Well, I mean, good for you to find your way through that. I don't think that's a scenario that a lot of people have ever had to deal with while bowling. So like, that's a tough one. That's not one that you could really prepare for, honestly.
No. Well, and it's like as much as the matches were really good that I played against everybody, but I think like my biggest match I think was against myself and just trying to fight through and maintain concentration. And I got what I call productive pissed off face, where I get like super intense and I look like I'm ready to be angry at somebody pretty good, and just like giving myself kind of little chirps when I threw a stupid shot. And that just kind of kept that percolating throughout the day. And yeah, I think that was my saving grace. It helped keep my blood pressure up enough to keep going.
Yeah, no, 100%. We've seen other people utilize that same strategy. Mitch Davies, when he won Regina, for example, just wandered around for 12 hours of just talking about how he was told he was washed up. It was like the same 5 words for 12 hours straight, but it worked for him.
It's a long day. Like, I mean, you're there for, like I said, 12 hours. You're probably playing all day. And sometimes you have to run up both sides, it's even longer. It's not easy. It's not like and I say this, not like it used to be, but I mean, even back when you won your first club tour, right? I think it's a different ball game that it is now than it used to be, right?
Yeah, I think that one might have been a 3-game total pinfall, maybe.
Mm-hmm.
I can't remember if it was that or if it was just like single match elimination, but I feel like it was the triple.
I think it was 2 games, wasn't it? Wasn't it a 2-game?
Might have been
match?
2. I don't
Yeah,
remember.
I think because didn't you guys? Sorry, quote me. I mean, I've never played a club tour, but I think it was. It wasn't it. You guys had your last qualifying on Sunday, and then you guys had your 2-game
I think
matches.
that sounds about right.
Yeah. So I mean, and then you look how great the club tour is now. They've done so well, and they've grown it, and now you have even like you had quality players, and now you have even more quality players. It's like the top of the top, and you can people from, I mean, Colby and Walt, they took the milk run to get there, right? Let's be honest. And you guys have people who are dedicated to playing that, and I think that's what makes it so good is with your win is that it's just that much better, right? Mm-hmm. It's that much quality.
100%.
Yeah. And I mean, I know you've won I think you won a duck pin tournament as well, right?
Yes.
So yeah. And you won Uxbridge, we talked about a little bit earlier. Obviously you've won your fair share of Masters, and so I guess out of all these events, which one would you rate this one as?
I think in terms of like personal success and being able to like persevere through all of the stuff that my body was giving me on that specific day, definitely this one.
Yeah.
Just because, not something that I'd had to deal with prior to this event. So it's like, oh, like this is new. I can't eat. Okay. We got to find another way to keep the energy up.
Totally. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. And I mean, maybe it's kind of great that our next guest is here, but you guys, I know we spoke in Ottawa and you're going through a bunch of stuff, and, obviously you've persevered, and you had a really great triumph this weekend, and Mark has been working with a bunch of things he's been dealing with. So maybe this is a great podcast. And the fact is you just proved everybody don't give up. There's always a chance to come back to it if you put your mind to it. Right. So I think you guys should be very proud of yourselves to be able to persevere through that.
It's pretty funny because after Timmins last year, when I got knocked out, bang, bang, in the A and B side, I was literally where I was mentally was ready to quit. Like, I'm just going to walk away from bowling. Like, I'm done. Just absolutely done. And then I was like, well, I can't because I've got a bowl. I don't want to disappoint my team for the Open. So I had to keep going with there. And it was just like, just keep going, just keep going, just keep going. And then finally stuff in life started to settle down. And that's when I started to get kind of my bowling brain back, because I haven't had my bowling brain I'm going to say since probably before COVID. And it's just been a struggle and a grind and a lot more frustration than anything else for the last 5 years. Granted, like I've been successful, like I've had 2 Masters Nationals that I've been to, but that doesn't mean that the struggle's not real. Like it's just keep going and hopefully at some point things connect again to the point where it's like, oh yeah, I remember this is how I like to bowl. This bowling is actually fun sometimes. Contrary to what people say.
But and that's the thing, and I completely understand what you're saying. I think post COVID, it's been very interesting. It's that year and a half or 2 years off of like when you were so used to being so competitive for so long, and then all of a sudden you just lose that for 2 years, and then you have to come back to it, and you got to try to be at an elite level again. And honestly, none of us are going to take anything less than elite as good. Right. Even though, we can go out and average 250 and everybody's going to be super happy with that. We're not going to be. Right. So like to try to get back to that level and try to get back to that level mentally is really tough. And I find it's really tough with teams and stuff too, because it's one thing with playing like singles because you only have yourself to disappoint. But when you're playing teams and you have that 2 years off where you didn't have any team events at all of a sudden, like I find that team events bring me way more stress than I've ever had before.
And I actually found the opposite. I found that I performed better in a team environment because I didn't want to let anybody else down. And I was super critical about myself playing in a singles event that one was like just a real kick in the ass if I didn't do well. Whereas the other one, it's like, okay, like I gave my best. We didn't win. Other people could have done better or helped because we didn't all bowl 450s, right? So it's like I did the best that I could. Hopefully it was enough, and hopefully the teammates that I played with recognized that. And yeah, like I just trying to find, I guess, self-confidence in a singles play versus in team match play is where I've kind of been lacking or struggling in the last couple years. Yeah, I feel like I'm not going to disappoint my team, and I'm going to show up for my team, but I didn't show up for myself very well, and then was super hard and critical on myself because of it.
Yeah, that's totally fair. Yeah.
Okay, maybe we're kind of going a little bit off topic here, but this might be a good question. So we talked about this. I mean, Dex and I have been super competitive. We started playing, obviously, cash events back when we were 14. So it's been almost 25 years that we've been playing, over 25 years. We've been playing everything all the time, right? And it's no similar to you in the Ontario area and around that, right? At what point have we experienced almost everything we can for the most part? And I think as things are getting more and more experienced, I just find it's more competitive. It's tougher to find to keep going sometimes. And you talk about, like, hey, you know what, I maybe need a break, or hey, I just feel like I want to quit. And I think we've all felt that at some point.
Yeah.
But are we playing for championships now? Are we playing for prestige? Are we playing for goals like the Hall of Fame? Or are we like,
if I'm looking at it for the Open or for Masters or anything like that, I want to make those teams so that I can see my friends when I go there and compete against my friends that I don't get to see very often. Because I feel like the social aspect and having that kind of like bowling family and being able to connect with people that you don't see and picking up on friendships, even if you haven't seen somebody for 8 or 10 months and it's like no time has passed, like that, I think for me is the super important thing. Sure. And if we happen to do well bowling too, like that's always a bonus, but
on the lane, I completely agree on the friendship thing. There's nothing better when you guys go to these events. You haven't seen somebody in a while, and it just feels like you left off like a week ago. What you were talking about, right? Because we've all had those connections. But on the lanes, I think personally for me, it's the moments like that I cherish more, like the moments. Your championship moment, you knew when you threw that ball to clinch against Sean to win the championship, right? going into the last few frames. I think those are the moments that I cherish more on the lanes than ever, because we know there's not going to be many of those in the future, or as much, right? Does that make sense?
Yeah.
So that's what keeps me going a little bit. It's like when I have that moment and I'm able to capitalize on it, that's what I remember the most, right? I don't know if that's what you guys think about on the lanes nowadays after for so long, but
so if you watch some of the stream of me bowling, like I am significantly more animated than I typically am on the lanes. Like I'm usually just like go up, throw the ball. If it's a good shot or I get a break, I get a fist pump. I was like yelling. Like I had like I said, for just full of passion and wanting to do well. And that kind of translated through myself for a change. Cause it was like, okay, like I don't get this pumped up, and then you have to try and rein that in. Cause then you start pushing a little bit more or overthrowing the ball. But it's like, I can't even tell you how many fist pumps that I did or yelling like, yeah, or whatever, after throwing a good shot or a shot that I needed. And that's not something that I would typically do. It's just that was me in the moment on that particular day. And yeah, it's been a while since I've gotten that.
I find that there's like different energy levels that people play well at. And I always feel like I play really well at a 1 or really well at a 9 out of 10 sort of thing. Just like either like as chill as possible or like over the top, super aggressive. And I don't normally get to the 9 in singles very often, but every once in a while you have to. And then there's actually like an adjustment that I have made. Like I was playing really intense in TPC, and then I was facing Weber and it wasn't working. And I went the complete opposite. I was like, you know what? I was going to chill right out to nothing. and then it worked. It worked really well. Like it's interesting how that works. Yeah, I love the whole conversation about just looking forward to going and seeing your friends at nationals, and you talk about how bowling needs to be like fun, and I think that's really like all encompassing. That whole conversation is really and if that is your focus, that makes bowling way easier.
And I kind of think too, like my line of thinking is like at the end of the day, bowling's kind of like a first world problem, right? Like if you don't win a tournament, your spouse isn't going to leave you. You're not going to become homeless. You're not going to starve. So at the end of the day, like it's just something that we like to do, but it's not something that's going to be life changing.
Yeah. Yeah. And a lot of us have a hard time differentiating that. A lot of us have a hard time struggling with like there are people, and like I'll be honest, I'm sort of included in that lump. It's like where bowling is almost my whole identity. Right. Yeah. I'm in a bowling alley all day long. Yeah. My free evenings are spent bowling. My free weekends are spent bowling, which is, I don't have free weekends because it's literally always bowling. Right. So failure it feels almost tougher in those scenarios because it is my whole identity. Tim asks about like why we keep playing. And a big part of it is like, it's all we know for one, two, and like this sounds really bad, but like you play a little bit for ego. You want to keep winning things, and you want at some point in time, if this is your whole identity, you want to leave a legacy, and all of that kind of leads towards that legacy of you as a competitor, and so there's a little bit added pressure that we shouldn't have, but you put it on yourself anyways. Which is really dumb. But it is. And it's just a Canadian game.
Fair. I mean, I'll be honest. The first time I started playing, I started playing a whole lot better was when I had to come to realistic terms. You're not going to be $1 million athlete with this. You're not going to be able to. I mean, on Wednesday nights, if everybody understood how back in the day at Bonnie Doon when we were 18, 19 years old, it was the big league. I mean, it was a lot of great bowlers there. And like, it was an amazing league. But I mean, every time you turn around, people were punching things, breaking things, smashing things. I broke my hand at one point, and after I broke my hand, I'm like why? Like, why did I do that? Like, I am so stupid. Like, and then until I realized that, my game had to be at that point in order for my game to turn around a little bit. I thought, right? So,
and I think like to kind of build on that, and that's I think also where my game has changed a little bit in the last, I'm going to say 3 to 5 years as well. In that I'm not so much focused on what the outcome is, but I'm working on making sure that the process is good. So like my big thing is my concentration. And I could tell you, if I could see my shot hit my target, I'm probably averaging 290 because I just don't typically miss. My problem is that in a typical game, I see my ball cross my target like 3 out of 10 times.
Yeah.
Because that's where my attention span is.
Yep.
So when I can get locked in and I get that productive pissed off, now I can actually see my ball hit more. And well, you saw the results from how I scored and how I played in Timmins. I was able to go through past the lack of concentration and just sink in, get there, get it done, and go from like a 3 out of 10 to probably like an 8 or a 9. And then I'd throw that one stupid frame and be like, oh yeah, way to go, jackass. Like, what? And that would, again, just bring up the percolation, get the adrenaline back and refocus and do what I need to do. Like, I just look, if I do my job and hit my spot, I just wait for the other person to screw up.
Totally.
So, I mean, that's a good segue. When you let's move back to Timmins a little bit, obviously, but what was the moment that you knew it was like, maybe today's the day? Because, you know, everybody has those moments where you think, okay, you know what? I think I can do it, right? So when was your moment? Because obviously it wasn't the last ball you threw against Sean. You probably knew it's a little.
It was the second last one when I spared the corner.
Oh, really?
Yep. I was completely clueless. I had my friend Davin, who we traveled with, and I just had him be the person to go to the boards, tell me where I was bowling and who I was bowling, because I didn't want to look at numbers whatsoever. Literally, my only focus was trying to hit my spot for the day. Like, as much as I played against other people, I bowled against myself. As long as I did my job, it didn't matter.
Honestly, and that's the way it should be. Truthfully, that's the way it should be. At the end of the day, I have this argument with a few people, but a certain one more often than others, where your focus needs to be on execution. It can't be on results. Results will come with execution. But if you're focusing on the results, you're hooped. You're hooped before you even start. So.
Well, and I had that conversation with Jim Head after having a not so good tournament several years ago, and he's like, "You're thinking like too far in the future, and it's pulling you out of the now."
Yeah.
So I try and stay in the now as much as I can, and I didn't even think anything. There was no forethought of what's next. It's like, okay, this is where I'm bowling. This is who I'm bowling. Go hit my spot.
Yep.
100%. And it wasn't, like I said, until that third game when I looked up at the score, like, if I spare this corner and then hit a pin, it's done.
Totally.
That was it. But Al came to me afterwards and he's like, you look like, I've called it after about round 2. He's like, you just had that look on your face like you were just so dialed in. He's like, I think Cooper's going to win this. And that's what was saying after the second round.
Well, I mean, look at your A bracket semifinal. I mean, you beat Mitch, and Mitch had he had 921, and you had 1,064.
Oh, that's insane.
Yeah. He didn't finish 10th, though. He could have went to, I think, 990 or 989 or something.
Holy crap. Yeah. I mean, I don't know if I was Mitch, I'd probably be okay with losing like that. I mean, those things, I'd rather have that than a 660 to 625, right? So
well, poor Mitch, because I threw a 4 at him in game 3, and he played Walt Brooks on the other side, who started out on the front 10 in the last game. So he had like 2 people throw 1,000-ish with a 400 in their third game at him to knock him out.
Yeah,
wow.
I mean,
you can't play it any better. If you're losing with 9.5, then the other person just simply outbowled you.
Yep. Well, that's exactly it. There's a big difference between losing and getting beaten. Sometimes you just get beaten. Yep. Like, it's just, it is what it is, right? It is what it is. Did you just one shift it, Nathan?
No, I played the first shift. And then was like, saw how the scoring was going. And I was like, oh, I better throw again.
Yeah.
But at the end of the first shift, I was struggling all of that shift. I actually changed up bowling balls and I changed up my grip. And the grip that I figured out seem to be working better. And I'm like, I think this grip is going to work, but I need to use my other bowling balls that I got at Value Village.
Oh, your arrows.
What's that?
Your arrows.
The arrows that aren't actually arrows. Yeah.
They're not actually arrows?
No, they're rubber balls. Nobody knows what they are.
That's interesting. They look like arrows, that's for sure.
Yep. They look like arrows, but they smell like old tires.
Okay. Yeah, well, that comes from that time era, that's for sure. Any of those rubber balls back then all smelled like that, that's for sure.
Yeah.
I just want to give a quick shout out to Al. Great event. Timmins as a whole, great event. But more importantly, we always do predictions on the podcast of cuts and who's going to win things and whatnot. And Al chose the right group for the first two. He chose Sly for the high roller. He chose Walker and Montgomery for the best ball. I was like, I messaged him afterwards after Saturday or Friday night. I was like, we never get anything right, let alone 2 for 2. What is that?
So,
good job, Al.
Yeah, let's touch. Well, first of all, let's just say that Dex and I did the points on who was closest, and Kerry O's around. I think because he's not on. So Kerry O's around. So next time we're all together, Al, beers around Kerry. He didn't private message me now. I said it was no problem. So we're going to say that right now. But that being said, let's touch space a little bit on the rest of the event a little bit. Sly obviously won the high roller. He beat Jonathan Granger. I never watched Jonathan before, but he looked really solid. He was very impressed.
He threw very, very well.
Yeah.
The only time I think he seemed to struggle is if he just got a little bit too snug on the head pin and just started pushing it back. Mm-hmm. If he was on the side, everything fell.
He looked really solid. I will say that like that. But again, Sly had 2 really good weekends back to back. So I'm sure he can afford to come out of West again without the money he made. Yeah. And then obviously we'll touch base. Obviously, we had Walker and Montgomery again that won. But look at their scores. Only one game that's on a 400.
Slackers.
So I mean, I haven't done the best ball, but I assume you. It's just like obviously
it's self-explanatory.
but you both throw your frames and it counts, right? So the highest one, right? So that's pretty crazy, though. I mean, regardless of that, that's incredible, and I mean, nice to see Alex come runner up. He's having a tough time, so good for him, right? So. And then, like those are the 2 major events there. But there was some really good bowling out there. Like you said, you mentioned that Walt Brooks was there. He was going for a perfect in there. There's so many 400s out there. You have to give a shout out to Timmins and Nat for doing a great job. It's setting up the center. It looked incredible. The scores are incredible, and now obviously there's going to be a lot of. Great people that think they're going to be coming out there and playing, right? So
we're going to start that party train. We're going to do it.
Party train.
Party train. Let's go.
The party train. But yeah, no, I think it's going to be absolutely. It's obviously Club Tour is completed here. I'm just going to pull up the. They have it on Facebook.
I had it already here.
Let's talk about that as well, because you have the finals already, the top 16 here. So we do want to reach out to that.
Let me bring
first is Matt Houston, Jeff Watts, Sean Barrow, Nathan Cooper, number 4, Brad Glenn, Dwayne Gilardi, Eric Villeneuve, Mitch Davies, Sly, Greg, Walt, Colton, John, Shane, Mark Garneau, which is nice to see. And Dan Taylor. So I mean, you hit everything. You have Quebec, you have Northern, you have Southern, you have Manitoba in there, you have the states in there. So it's Newfoundland's in there. So you really guys really hit hit all your demographic there, really. So
yeah. And that's held the day before Club Tour, correct?
I think it's the Wednesday, yes, and then Club Tour stuff starts Thursday.
Right. Okay.
And if I remember correctly, so if you're 4, you'll play John, right?
If I did it right, I think that's accurate. Yeah.
Yeah, that makes sense. Yep. Yeah. I
those people.
I actually felt really bad for Al. I was really hoping he would make this. So it actually broke my heart a little bit when he just got edged out of making the top 16 for Club Tour. But
well, and so that was the thing, like, because he played well at the high roller, and I think he rolled like 2140 or something like that. And you think you roll 2140, you figure you're probably going to be good. And then, like, the scores from the Saturday morning shift that I played, there was 15 people that beat it that were over like 2180. It was
2163 was his number. He missed by 8. Yeah.
Like, you would think that 2163 would be good enough.
Yeah.
And considering like the cut went up significantly as well, but regardless, like it was crazy.
Crazy talk, kind of leading into our next tournament. But if you added 70 entries to Timmins, do you have a similar cut to Regina? Especially if Regina's 30. Well, not if a Regina 40 cut, probably not a Regina 32 cut, but
I don't know. Get 70 guys from out west and come on over.
Party train.
The drive is lovely to Timmins from Toronto. Ask Walt.
Yeah. And a whole bunch of other people. Yeah. Well, Nathan, thank you very much for joining us today.
My pleasure.
Congratulations. We talked less about the tournament and more about like you and your thought process on things, but I think that's good. I think that's really important information too. So thank you for joining us. Hell of a feat. One of many coming up, I'm sure. So
here's to hoping.
Yeah, absolutely. Congrats, buddy. We'll bring in our next guest here right away, but thank you for joining us, and we'll hopefully see you Masters Nationals. How you sitting for Masters?
Let's hope. We still got a couple more events to go.
Okay. All right. Well, hopefully we'll see you down the line.
Sounds good.
Thanks, Nathan.
Take care, guys.
Later, bud.
All right. So that was Timmins. And Mr. Nathan Cooper here. We'll bring in our next guest from our Regina champion, Mr. Mark Johnstone. Hey, buddy.
Hello. Hey, how's it going?
Good. Your hair looks so much better today.
I was like, man, I was sweating for hours on end, and I was ugly crying after I won. So
yeah. Well, in all honesty, dude, I talked to you 2 rounds before that, and like you were getting tears in your eyes at that moment, and I was like, "This is good. This is really good." Big congratulations.
Thank you.
I think you know how proud we all are of you. So
Yeah.
What a weekend. What a battle. It was super fun watching. I was kind of sad I didn't get to watch the end of it as we were sitting in the airport, but you went full like early 2010 Johnstone there for a little bit.
Yeah.
It was awesome.
I don't know. There was a point in the day. I know, like, the older I get, I don't try to get too excited. I definitely will pick my moments in big moments when I need it. But I think it was the second Sylvan match. And like, I think it was halfway through the last game. It was really close the whole time. I think it was 5, 6, 7th frame. I instantly was like, I got to make some noise here. So I just turned it on, and then I couldn't turn it off after that.
but that was a thing for you though, right?
Yeah. No. Yeah. I didn't. And then I noticed myself going a little slow on the videos. I was like, I'm not like that. It just got in just wanted to get in my zone, and pretty much it was like listening to Nathan was like listening to myself. Like a lot of the things he was talking about, I've been through the same things and done the same things. Yeah, I was just more focused on myself. Miller's like, remember, you have hyper focus, and then it just like clicked in my head, and I just like focused on my spot the whole time. That's exactly what Nathan said. That's all I tried to do. And I'm very like talking about numbers and scores, and I'm looking and calculating. I said to Jenna, I was like, I don't even remember some of the games or some of the matches. Like until, like I just can't remember the scores. Like that's not really like me. I was just focusing on process like you guys were talking about. So yeah, it was. So then there was sometimes throughout the day when I knew I needed to know. So I kind of remember at one point, I remember looking at Len Anseth. I'm like, what's the number? And he's like, 17. I'm like, okay, thanks. Strike. And so, or I looked at the math, and I couldn't do it. I'm like, I just couldn't figure it out. Maybe that's when Miller said my head was spinning and I need to focus. But yeah.
But even earlier in that day, or it was earlier that day, or when we were playing our shift together, you had talked about how like you were purposely starting to go slow. Like
Yeah,
you
like my
slowed
foot,
everything
my
down.
approach itself.
Yeah.
So like when I've been struggling a lot in the last years and two is I've just been off balance a lot, partly just because of my body, right? So I just realized that I do well when I go slow. And even Tim said that something to me at TBC last year.
Yeah.
Went on a deep run. He said something about going slow. So yeah, I just figured out it's hard at first because I need to figure out my timing.
Mm-hmm.
But now, plus I've been doing a lot of physical exercising and things. So if I'm feeling good, a little bit better, it was easier to do. So yeah, just going slow and looking at my target. That's all I really need to do. And that it made me feel like back in the day, like I know I can be like that. I know I have that in me. I could feel that I have that. It's just getting focused again. And like Nathan was saying, is like I went through a lot of physical and mental changes in my body and life, and had experiment with medication and things like that too, and got to a good place now. And yeah, it worked. I mean, another thing a lot of people haven't really shared too much is a week before, on Sunday, I think it was, or Monday of the long weekend, I woke up one morning and I couldn't even hold on to a glass. My wrist was hurting so bad. So I text Carrie. I was like, I don't even know if I can go. And I don't know if I can go and not bowl and sit there for 4 or 5 days and spend the money.
Yeah.
So I just rested it every day and I got better and better. And then I did some research on how to do KT tape. I've never done that before. So I did that, and every day I annoyed the staff to heat up my ice pack, or I heat up my heat pack and get some scissors so I could make so I could do the KT tape. And yeah, it worked really well. And so I did that every day. So that's something new I've never done. I also had brand new bowling shoes I've worn 3 times. So I was better I felt better on my feet. I just had more comfort on my feet. I just felt so much better. So yeah.
It's amazing how much of a difference it actually makes. It's crazy. Just because of everything you just said, I just want to bring this comment back up. Ice pack, heat pads, KT tape. It's like we're getting close to walkers at this point, but
yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, we did talk about. I mean, Johnny, you've been doing this for 25, almost 30 years now, right? So, I'm not putting you on the spot, but I mean, we've been there, we've done it all, right? Now we're trying to reinvent ourselves sometimes and trying to find the next level, or change the narrative on how we feel about ourselves on the sport, right? And you did that, right? It done a long time, so. I guess maybe I asked Nathan for it, but what are like, other than winning a tour championship like this, but in simplistic form, what were your goals going into the weekend, and what are your goals bowling wise, like regardless of the weekend, that were motivating you to be where you were?
Honestly, going into the weekend, just went in with zero expectations. Don't have a lot of cash at the moment. I got sponsored. Daryl Bradley sponsors me from Bradson, sponsors me a shift. So I really appreciate that. So, but I went in, I'm like, I can only 2 shift. Lost a guy in a hotel too, and a little bit more cost. It's all good. So yeah, and then in January, I didn't even bowl in January.
No.
It's not like me to do that. I just said, I can't do this right now. As for physically and mentally, I just can't. I went to bowling, I hung out, but I just didn't feel like bowling. It was the first time in my life I just didn't want to go. I didn't want to even bowl at all. I needed a break, just the break. And that did wonders for me. Instead of like me thinking I need to bowl more. I don't think I need to do that anymore. I have it there. I just need to do what's mentally right for me, right? So
think that's a really important lesson, and I've been trying to do the same things too. Where I'll take a week or two off of bowling here throughout the season because there's so many things all the time. And again, we've been doing it forever, and the burnout does get really, really big. And I said I was going to do less things this year, and I did more.
But I think you bring up a valid point, though. I mean, for all our roles in the sport, we feel obligated to be doing it all the time, or at least being like, hey, I got to go out and do this because I say, you know, or I support that, or I do that. And you don't have to, right? No one's ever going to hold a gun to your head and say, hey, like, why didn't you do that? If they do, obviously they're not the right people to be around, right? So we understand there's a lot of things going on. And I think obviously the mental break and physical break obviously helped you out a lot.
Yeah, and then I was thinking recently, I started cash tournaments when I was 18. I'm 43 years old. I've pretty much done at least 4 per year, so I've definitely done over 100 cash tournaments now.
Yeah,
that's pretty
so okay. How do you feel about your 2% win percentage?
Honestly, it is what it is. I've probably made the cut.
Yeah,
80 times.
80 times. Oh, for sure. Yeah,
2% win rate in the cash tournaments is a very good win rate.
yeah, I know.
That's a very good win rate. Don't shit on that.
Winning the second one was weighing on me for a long time. So it's honestly, like Nathan said, it took a week for it to kick in. I still haven't really fully absorbed it. We got done bowling. A lot of the guys helped me pack to my stuff. That was awesome. I kind of sat around for a few minutes and then kind of got to the hotel and then had 1-2 slices of pizza and 1 beer and went to bed. So I haven't really like celebrated or anything like that. But
that was my question. Obviously, I wasn't there, but I was going to say, did you go to the rack and get your platter of wings? That should have been your MO. You should have got your platter of wings. Because Kerry won and then Tweety screwed you over. That would have been your.
Honestly, it's so busy in there when you're done, and service is absolutely subpar. There's too many people in there, so
and like, okay, no offense to the rack at all, but then when we all leave and swarm that place, I just don't know how they don't expect us to be there on that Sunday night. They know it's gonna happen. They know it's gonna happen. But
yeah, so I think it was late too. So I don't know. It was fine. It was fine the way it went down.
So maybe let's talk a little bit about the event itself. You obviously you did was it 2 shifts or just
I did 2 shifts.
2 shifts. So okay, so obviously the second shift you qualify with the 20th spot, shooting 22.99, which is crazy. But maybe touch base a little bit on that shift. I know you made a post about you threw 3 times in a row. You threw 5 bagger to finish the last 3 games.
I mean, I'll touch on the first shift real quick.
Yeah,
I start 305, 304. I'm like, all right, 609, here we go, and then 20, 20, 20, 20. And then I'm like, gee, I'm getting too quick. Slow down and look at your spot. And then, like Nathan said, you get that one, those frames are just like, okay, focus back up.
Yeah.
So then I'm like, okay, slow down. And then I go 280 something, or whatever the first shift. So then the next day, start slow. Okay, 328. Then next game, I start getting quick again, 5-6 frames in. Like, then I realize it, pull the game out to 2, whatever it was. Then I'm like, okay, slow the rest of the day. So then I had 1 bad game in there. But then even the last 2 games, obviously looking at the scoreboard now, I need 550.
So stupid, isn't it? Yeah.
Yeah. And then I start with like 90 at the half or whatever it is. But I'm like, every time I'm missing, I'm off balance. I'm falling a little bit. I'm like, oh, okay, I got to go slow. So I just went slow. Then get in the last game, thinking about what I need again, forget about what I got to do. Then realize it halfway through the game and then turn it on again and then turn it on. And I really wanted to get that sleep in. I knew I got the first strike in 10. I'd be guaranteed. I mean, turns out I had a little bit extra, but I'd be guaranteed to make the cut. And then I'm like, well, maybe if I get a couple more here, I can sleep in. So yeah, that paid off huge because I was able to sleep in a little bit, go to the hot tub in the morning. I did the hot tub like 3 times over the weekend as well. So I think that helped too.
Smart, honestly. Yeah. Absolutely. Yeah, it was fun playing with you, and you did, and I remember you looking at me and saying that exact thing too. It's like, yeah, if I throw a couple more here, then I can go for that sleep and go for that buy. And I think the buy is important.
Yeah, and then even the tournament itself, TPC, I actually played 6 more games than I did in Regina, but I didn't go to the final. Losing to Sly in the second round of the B probably saved me a little bit, saved my body.
Yeah.
I actually felt pretty good all day. My wrist was tweaking a little bit in game 3 or 4, but it went away pretty quick, and I was feeling pretty good all day. But yeah, and then me and Jen were kind of talking about it. Majority of my matches, I was up most of the time.
Yeah.
So that really helps. I was starting my games really well.
Yeah. It makes a huge difference.
Like a lot of my totals, you see 770, 780, whatever. That's like for 24, 25 frames. I'm on a 5 or 6 bagger. Yeah. So I was able to get up early, and then I was able to kind of be shark in the water a little bit. I played Sly the second time. I could see him getting a little bit tired. He was going on both sides. I just see that little bit of edge, and I can kind of take advantage of that. It just gives me more confidence.
Yep.
100%.
And then, it was just kind of the same way in the final against Matt. I sensed him being a little tired too, right? So I don't know if you watched some of this.
I did, yeah. I was watching on Zimmerman's page there. So, but that's something we talked about a lot, and you and I have talked about it. I think a lot of us have talked about it. As soon as you get an inkling that your opponent is just like trailing off a little bit, or there's something a little bit different, that you like, a lot of us have that killer instinct where we just know, okay, time to go, right? Let's throw that strike, throw a next strike there. Let's put a little pressure on them, because then we all know that happens. It happens to us too, right? We all been on the other side too, right? So, but you're playing well and executing well when you can do that, right? So, and of course, smart person, never complete your games. Red is really good because it makes it look way better.
I had to complete the Greg one though.
You did, yes. Okay, so let's talk a little bit about that. I have a funny story to tell you. Okay, after you explain it. So, you had like what, 280 the first game, right?
295.
295.
Yeah.
And then we were watching on Sunday night. So, and then you go on a tear, right? So maybe explain your second and third game in your mind. What was going on, or was there anything you're just throwing balls?
A lot of people might not realize in that match that I can't actually remember the score, what Greg had in the first game. I think I might have been up like 50 or something like that. And then in the next game, obviously I started with 9 in a row, but Greg, that game, shot 370. Yeah. So I had 408. I go throw the corner, little thick, fine, and then punch on the last ball. So I only gained 38 points.
Yeah.
And me and Greg definitely have some history. So I think the last 3 times I've played Greg, he's beat me. Greg's beat me at the C5 Nationals in singles, so I got a silver medal. I lost to Greg in Regina last year in the first round. So I don't know. I just felt like I had a little redemption. I felt better though, like I normally have when I'm playing Greg. I didn't have the fear that I've had in the last few matches. I felt I didn't even think about that. Just thinking about what I'm doing, And the last game, just keep throwing the ball. Started, I think at the 6 after the 6 bagger. And one thing I know about Greg, he can run him, but he can also punch. So just keep your head, just keep doing your thing. Don't worry about what he's doing. You got a little bit of a lead at 80 or 90 or whatever it was. Okay, at 90, it was 295, 206. So I had about 100-point lead or whatever it was. Going in there, I'm like, just keep throwing the ball. Most of my games that way were good, so I didn't really worry about having a bad game at all. And then I'm like running. I'm at 6. I was like, the first few, I'm like just kind of nonchalantly throwing them. I'm like, okay, I got a shot here now.
Yeah.
And my routine really kicked in, and I slowed down a bit. But yeah, I obviously took a little long on the last shot there. But I felt like I messed up my routine, so I started it over again.
Yep.
Yeah.
But I mean, the back-to-back 400s, and you were just like throwing the ball, walking away, throwing the ball, walking away, throwing the ball, walking away. I like that's the guy I remember from 10 years ago, right?
I have insane muscle memory with bowling and even like games where you have stuff like that. Is
just not Mario Kart,
except for Mario Kart. Yeah.
But I mean, so I know you and Greg. Greg quit, and he let you carry on, which is like how everything should be.
Yeah, I thanked him for that.
That didn't change anything in your mind when you're doing it?
No.
I think that's.
I was kind of like, let's give it a shot. I mean, if I've never done it before, it would be different.
Yeah.
I had 1141. I've had 1158 before. I've had an 824 double, and I've had a 403 and a 398, but I've never had two 400s back to back. But I never really thought about that. It was kind of like, hey, let's give this a try.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Freewheel it, and then started feeling good about it. And hey, here we go.
Yeah, that was
so much fun doing that.
Yeah. But when you're that locked in and it's that easy, that is the moment that we're all looking for. It's just like, bowling can be such a struggle and such a grind, and you're just trying to find it for that moment, for that period of time. And then when you click in for that period of time, and it's just easy, that's fun.
And then there's a lot of fans around, and I started high-fiving a bit more people, and I don't normally go around and do that, but
that
was just some.
What was your thought in 12?
I think it was the same. I think the only difference is I just pulled out of my shot. I didn't look at my spot the whole way. I just lost a little bit of focus. So I'm thinking I probably was thinking about getting it instead of looking at my spot is my guess.
Yeah. I don't know. Like, you obviously took a little bit longer. I think you took a little bit longer between 11 and 12. And I'm going to throw Ron under the bus, Perry. Ron's like, oh my God, he's taking a little bit longer. We're all sitting around the camera. He's like, either it's going to be a bomb or a 3-pin. And then he ripped a 3-pin. I'm like, what the fuck, dude? Like, what are you doing? No, it wasn't me.
It sucks because the other two times I started with 11 I got it. So that's the first time I missed. But,
and
I was less nervous too. I was not even close to as nervous as I was in the past.
And I mean, Matt and John were both still playing, and I was like, man, Mark has to wait a long time for those guys to be finished, right? So, so obviously you guys moved into the finals. My big worry was obviously, I love Matt, love John, but obviously our relationship is really, really good, right? And cheering you on, I was like, man, I wonder what his mindset was after he threw such a big 3-game block, right? And then you had to play the finals. Like, I didn't know if it would change or how was your mindset going into the finals after throwing such a big set?
Well, it kind of helped. Like, I think it was Wisty. It was like, that's not what you're here for.
Yeah.
Like, I'm not there for a perfect game. Yeah. Hey, the money is great. That would have been a nice little icing on the cake. But he's like, that's not what you're here for. I'm like, exactly. That's not what I'm here for. It's not changing. I'm not changing what's going on. We're doing the same thing. I know Matt Houston is a killer. He's won a lot of stuff in the last couple of years or a few years or whatever it is. And I know to not take him lightly just as much as Greg. So yeah, I didn't want to change anything. I did the exact same thing as I was doing the whole time. And yeah, I mean, I still had a good set, I guess.
Well, it was really good. I watched it, and I've watched Matt lots over the years now. Matt's a hell of a bowler. Like, he's one of the best right now. And then I was watching
going on has been unbelievable.
Yeah. But I was watching you, and he just seemed just a little bit off, like than he normally is. It wasn't as finely, like, as sharp as he normally is. And I saw you, and whenever time he had like a glimmer of coming back, you shut it down, right? And it was like he had a chance to come back, he plowed, and he threw double, right? So it wasn't. He had his opportunities, but you shut him out when he needed to. Does that make sense? Or just with the momentum, at least?
I wasn't punching a lot, and I was not opening a lot. So
Yeah.
I was marking a lot, and that it's constant pressure. The guy never opens. So yeah, it's just keep trying to beat him every frame, really, at one point. I mean, okay, now just do what he does, or and then I was like a shark in the water when I saw the head pin. Like you said, I throw the double, and then you start getting ahead of yourself, and then you miss. So then you slow down again. And just calm down.
Okay.
Calm down.
So I guess that's a question I asked. Obviously, I asked Nathan too. I mean, obviously, you don't want to get ahead of yourself, but I mean, other than maybe Greg's match, when did you think to yourself? I know you talked about Sly's match, but when do you think about it? As like maybe today's my day?
I think the Sylvain match is the one that I started making noise, and I threw a double in 10 to beat him.
Yeah,
I just need a double and a pin, I think it was.
Yeah.
And that was my like, I can do this, because I beat Sly at TPC. He beat me here. He's like, he won high roller at Timmins. He's always up there. He's right up there with Greg and Matt. Like, Sylvain's one of the best in the country. So I'm like, if I could just get it past him, let's go. And I felt like I can do this. I just instantly believed that I can do it. And a couple of times I asked some guys, tell me it's going to be okay.
Honestly, after that match, that's when I came up and talked to you, and I just gave you the fist bump, and I was like, keep it going. And you just looked at me, and that's when it almost looked like you almost had tears in your eyes at that point. And you were like, I just really want this. But I could feel it in you at that time. It's like, this was going to be it. This is going to be good. There was like...
Even a point I looked at Scotty, like, way down sitting by lane 2 or whatever, 3 or whatever it was, and I walked over and I was like, I'm breathing thanks to you, kind of thing. Keep breathing the whole time. If I just keep breathing, I didn't have time to get nervous too. So yeah, it was just a combination of things.
I know you guys harp on me. I said the wrong thing, but man, breathing is like one of the biggest things people can, especially in pressure situations. Is your, we talk about your pre-shot, you know, all those people out there listening, how big is that? And then you mix in your breathing and how you're able to calm yourself down. That's a difference where Mark was this weekend compared to, and maybe a different weekend. He knew what he had to do, right? So it's such a big thing to be prepared like that. Yeah,
I mean, I did physically, mentally, everything I possibly could for the last, like, I didn't bowl in January, but I exercise every day. I mean, I don't work out per se, but I do stretching and light weights and exercising and what I need to do for myself, and it seems to work out. Yeah, I mean, like Nathan just said, 2 comeback stories. Like, Nathan's story is almost identical to mine. And one thing that I will put out to note is he said he was driving better on a team format as opposed to singles. I bowled the Open last year, and I was incredibly nervous the whole time because I didn't want to let my team down.
Yeah, I know. Yeah, I feel you. Yeah.
So that's the difference for me. When I'm by myself, I don't worry about that.
Very much the same.
I'm super hard on myself, don't get me wrong, but this weekend I was super nice to myself.
Yeah.
When I was bad, I said it was okay. When I was good, I told myself I was good.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I could tell myself I was the best all the time.
Yeah.
And I haven't done that for a long time.
Yeah.
I necessarily didn't say those exact words, but I said, you're good. You can do this. You have hyper focus, and I have a superpower. And I finally can harness that power sometimes a bit better. And yeah.
It sounds like you were more mentally prepared for this than anything. Like, everything you've said says that you've had an answer for, okay, this happened, I have an answer for it. This happened, I have an answer for it. This is going good, I'm going to keep it, you know? To be that in tune is really key in any victory, 100%.
Yeah, I mean, I do research, I do read things, I watch things. I'll be honest, I started going to therapy in January as well. So that has been a big help for me. Just talking to somebody about my issues and things, and learning how to be who I am and a good person, and might be a little bit different, but just trying to be a good person, really. And I tried to talk to more people again this weekend. I tried to be a little bit more out and open, and maybe it all translates together. You know, like when you're struggling, you don't want to be around anybody, and you don't want to talk to anybody, and you want to sit in the corner, and you get frustrated with yourself and your game, and you don't ask for help, and you don't try things, and you get stubborn, right? So being open and being humble and asking and getting help, and even the small thing like me asking the guys to tell me it's okay.
Yeah.
I was kind of reaching out for support a little bit, and some guys came and watched me and kind of got behind my back. And thanks to all those guys and all those people, even some people I don't even know, started following me around, which is kind of cool. I like that.
Yep.
Yeah, so it's fun. I mean, I played a lot of my friends. On Sunday, I played Jeremy, who's had an awesome year, who made a long run. I played Kerry, who won the TPC, and I beat him. Yeah, so I feel like I played a lot of great players. Zach Nilsson had an awesome tournament. I played him early, and I'm probably forgetting some guys too. But
and you,
Mark Steves, I played. I had a really good player. Him. Yeah. I'll be honest, going against Mark Steves, I was a little nervous because I've been watching him. I told him this. I've been watching him for a couple of years. Yeah. The Open and Masters qualifyings and things, and he's a really good player. So just being prepared of who I'm playing and understanding that, and he's so many good bowlers. It's so hard to win these things. Like I said, it's my second one. I mean, I won TSN as well, but this is I have a ton of seconds. I probably have 6 or 7. Mostly at the Autumn Open, but to Weber. But I have 6 second places, I think, over the years as well. So yeah, this is pretty special. It's hard to say. I heard you guys ask Ian or Nathan, kind of where this stands on your wins. Mm-hmm. It's definitely up there. It could be my best, but I'm in a different point in my life, so I can't really say that, right? So, but
I think winning is sometimes when you're at the peak of your game, and Johnny, you were winning lots of things. I think winning is amazing, but almost taken for granted at times. And I kind of feel like having to fight your way back over this last decade and get to where you are now, and then get this win out of all of it, like that, it's got to be near the top. Like you didn't have to persevere before the way you had to persevere now, right?
Yeah, you could be right. I mean, I've watched all you guys win all these tournaments for the last 10 years.
I have 2 trains of thought here, okay, with that comment. One is I think this is your best win in your second part of your career. If that was your first part, you're starting your second part, right? That's how I kind of look at it with you. Who cares about the middle, right? You're in a different part. You're starting something brand new. This is your best win right now. Not forever, but right now. The other one was when you saw, well, we were winning all these things. I remember you sat down there with 2010 and you looked at us and said, man, we can be a dynasty here. And then you fucked off on us. So I mean, I'll be the first one to say that. Yeah, you kind of did us dirty. So, but I mean,
if only I understood some things a long time ago. Right?
100%. But that being said, we got to play our first Open team in almost 15 years together last year. We just 6 of us can be an anchor. We pulled ourselves 18 out of 20 games. But I think you're definitely on the right path. I think that you're in the right spot, Mark. And obviously, I wasn't there. I was cheering for you. I'm so proud of this. But I got more, but
yeah. I mean, I've been sharing a little bit about ADHD and things like that. I had somebody come up to me. I'm not going to say who it is because it's their story, but they come up to me and thank me for sharing my story because they have it now too. And that made me feel really good. That was honestly one of the highlights of my weekend.
Yeah.
Just because when I started my journey, I kind of figured it out on my own, right? But I didn't really take the next step until somebody messaged me and said, hey, this is what I'm dealing with, and it's okay, and da 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 da, and whatever else. And that's that one person. That's all it took. So I might be a little bit more annoying, and I might be a little more posting and stuff and things, but I'm just trying to share because there's a lot of things in this world right now that people don't talk about and don't want to share, and we all go through stuff. So that's why I try to share stuff now, and try to be a little bit more open than I have been in the past. So that's me.
It's awesome.
And I'm hopefully not done.
Yeah.
No, you're not done.
I
You have the
still
tour
have-
finals. You have tour finals now, right? So
Well, yeah, we'll see. I don't know. Do I get an auto in there for the win, or do
you know what? I can't speak on behalf of what Kerry would say, but at one point I was not looking.
You did earlier today for other things.
I wasn't maybe in limbo, and he said we'll have to talk about that. Why'd you make the cut in Heritage? It's like okay, right? I mean, like but I think you're in a good spot. I would aim for top 4 because you have that opportunity now.
Yeah,
and you like buys, so buys are a good thing, right? So
I'll be honest. There's a check sitting on my wall right by my bed that has some written notes on it that say motivation. And taped it to my wall. The $300 check I got at the Tour Champions is sitting on my wall. I see it every single day. So that's my motivation. So yeah, I want to be there. I want another chance. And if I go there, and I know you talked about this earlier, and I don't do well, it doesn't define me.
Yeah.
It does not define me. I'm no longer gonna have my results define who I am, because that's not who I am.
Yeah.
No.
I mean, I am a great player, and I am good, and I'm a champion, but not every day. So I'm gonna have some bad days too.
That's a big lesson to learn. A tough one.
it goes along.
We should talk about this real quick. Just touch on other things really fast. Congratulations to Greg, Mitch, and Matt Houston for winning the trios on Thursday night. Congratulations to 3 guys and an Adam, Curtis Heron, Kaylee Robertson, Regan Sproul, and Adam Martin for winning the Bakers on Friday night.
For the 3rd time I won that, I think.
3rd time, yeah.
That's crazy. That's wild. And I think, Mitch and Greg, I think that's like the 3rd time in the last 4 years they've won too.
Yeah.
Something like that.
Yeah, ROC called one of them anyway, right?
Sorry?
Our ROC made one correct prediction.
Yeah. There you go. That's right. But congratulations, Johnny. Super proud of you. You know that. It's nice to hear you so proud of yourself because you've earned this. You know?
Yeah, the committee was awesome. Regina, the center, the one owner was there. The other one texted me. It was pretty cool to see that. Jen was supporting me and Gil from home, so I really appreciate that. Gino was the first person to call me. I missed his call a couple times, but Gino and Robert called me because Gino couldn't make it because he was sick. But those 2 guys called me, so that was pretty cool too. And
Yes. Great job to Warren, Kevin, the whole staff there. Always a top tier event, and it was awesome. Great. Great from start to finish.
You have one other thing. So since you won, are you going to change up the Regina Classic champion shirt to whatever you want, or are you going to keep it the same way?
No, I'm going to keep it the same way.
Okay. I was like, well, like he has an opportunity, right? So
I have thought about maybe updating them all, but then I have to do another one as a sample. But no, it's tradition. I mean,
tradition.
I'm okay with having tradition and keeping it the same for a long time.
Yep.
Are you gonna?
Now I want to get all 4. Right.
Well, I need to order one for TPC.
Yeah, I don't have one in for my first TPC either. So.
But that wasn't, guys. That wasn't a tour stop. That was way before.
It doesn't matter. It's a win.
Yeah, whatever.
All right. Well, Johnny,
it wasn't even at Sherwood Park, but whatever.
It wasn't. That's right. Thank you so much for joining us, Mark. Super proud of you. Like I said, hell of a feat, and it's going to be the start of a whole new old you.
We'll chat again in May. How about that?
Yeah. Deal. Thanks for joining us, everybody. We'll run our commercials, and we'll see you guys next week for the Frames of Shame guys, where you can.
If anybody has any questions,
burn a shirt.
I have no problem.
Yeah, reach out to Mark about that.
Absolutely.
Cool. Thanks,
Awesome.
guys.
Thanks, everybody.
Thank you.